Hello and welcome to today's video. Today we are here and we're going to preview the Cup Series race at Las Vegas. This race titled the Pennzoil 400 presented by Jiffy Lube. So, what's there to say about Las Vegas? First of all, previous race winner was Joey Logano. Previous winner at the track was Kurt Busch last year in the playoffs. And also a note, looked at our thumbnail for last week's video. Kind of lame with just a regular background. So we're going to actually put a picture of the previous race winning car there. So we'll have that. And we're going by previous race taking place at the track, not previous exact thing. So it's going to be Kurt Busch's car from winning last year. So, if you're interested in watching this race, first of all, it's at 3:30 on Fox. Pretty cool. 3:30 Eastern time. We'll get that in there as well. Pretty cool. Fox is starting off this season with a lot of races on the main channel. I feel Fox is a little bit better at that compared to NBC. NBC loves showing stuff on NBCSN or whatever it's going to be now that NBCSN is getting yeeted. So, what's there to say about Las Vegas? It's the first super kind of standard layout for mile and a half. So you got Las Vegas, Texas, Charlotte, Atlanta. They're all that very similar style. So it's the first race really heading to that. Of course, last week with Homestead was the first regular race, I guess you could think of the season. As we've seen, the super speedway and a road course. Of course, road courses are a little bit more standard this year with 7, or 8, whatever it is. But still, your standard NASCAR race is that mile and a half. So we'll see what happens. It'll be very interesting to see how this race goes. I'm expecting to see a little bit more normal drivers at the front. Of course, the last few races haven't necessarily been normal drivers. I mean, I wouldn't say Christopher Bell and William Byron aren't normal drivers at the front, but they're definitely not your top tier drivers. Man, who do you go with though in this race? Let's actually take a look here. Some of these starting lineups here. So the front here, we got Kevin Harvick, William Byron, Kyle Larson, Martin Truex, and Michael McDowell. Those are your top 5. Of course, again, the formulation of it's point standings mixed with finishing results and fastest laps. It's 7%. I think it's 50% based on your previous finishing position, and then 40-something%, I think, for that points, and then the rest of it for your fastest lap, or it's the other way around with fastest points and whatever. I'm not exactly sure, but your drivers that are high in the points are on this list, of course. It's basically a mix of finishing results and point standings. So that's why you got Kevin Harvick at the front. I believe he is. Is he first in points? He's second in points. He's second in points to Denny Hamlin, but he's had a lot of top finishes there. But again, William Byron winning last week's race, so that puts him in second. There's an interesting front row. Kyle Larson in third. Martin Truex in fourth. Michael McDowell 5th, Denny Hamlin 6th. Those are... I feel this race is going to come down to being Kevin Harvick, Martin Truex, Denny Hamlin, and maybe Joey Logano. Where's Logano starting? Ooh, where is Joey Logano? Where is he on this list? I clearly scroll by him. 15th. I mean, Joey Logano's been pretty good at these spring races here at Las Vegas. When I think of spring race Las Vegas, I think Joey Logano, Kevin Harvick. Those are the drivers that have won it the last few years, and I think maybe Martin Truex in there. Those are the 3 drivers that really come to mind. Denny Hamlin, because he's been solid. And that's all I'm going to say those ones. I think Kevin Harvick wins this race. That's my guess. So far, my predictions this year haven't been accurate. I should make a list of all my predictions, who's going to win a race, and see how many we get right. Because Daytona 500 had Bubba Wallace. Charlotte Road Course. I didn't make a video, but I thought Chase Elliott was going to win that one. No, not Charlotte Road Course, Daytona Road Course. Wrong road course. And then in our video for Homestead, I said Kyle Larson's going to win. So it'll be interesting to see who does well. I think it's going to be an interesting one. Again, the first real, standard, basic track that they race at, and it'll be interesting. I think that there's a lot of interest in this one for some of those drivers that know, hey, we're going to be in the playoffs. You don't really have to worry about that. Those drivers that are always in the playoffs, or the 3 drivers that have wins, you can look at this race as just a experiment, get a car sort of, dialed in for what you think might work, when it comes to Las Vegas in the playoffs. Because, again, the first track, it's a playoff track. I think we get that for 2 weeks in a row here. Look at the schedule. Yeah, we have Las Vegas and Phoenix. So it's 2 races in a row that are playoff tracks. So these drivers are going to probably be drivers and teams, especially ones know they're going to be in the playoffs, Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, Martin Truex. They don't have wins yet, but they're either going to get wins or be really, really high in points if they don't. So they can do a little bit of that. Joe Logano, Brad Keselowski, they can look a little bit more, what can we use of this information together here in March? What can we use come when's the playoffs there? I mean, I hate talking about playoffs early in the season, September, but it is the first race of the round of 12. You have Darlington, Richmond, Bristol. Of course, normally I would say you could get information at Bristol, but the first race of the season is a dirt race, so you can't really. Bristol's almost 2 separate tracks this season. It's sort of like Daytona road course and oval. There's 2 different things you bring to those. It's going to be the same for Bristol dirt. So it'll be interesting though to see what happens in Las Vegas. Again, a lot of these teams I do think will be looking at maybe doing something. I mean, who knows? This year, though, with limited practice, I think only 8 races are going to have practice. And I believe Bristol Dirt and Circuit of the Americas are tracks of practice. That's already 2 out of the equation. I mean, where else you can do practice? Probably, I'd imagine another one of these road courses. Maybe Nashville Super Speedway has a practice. Road America might have a practice. Maybe Brickyard. Brickyard might. First of all, I'm just looking through here. Brickyard has the most obnoxious name. Big Machine Vodka 400 at the Brickyard, powered by Florida Georgia Line. Bro, who comes up with these names? Oh yeah, Florida Georgia Line. Coincidence. But yeah, I don't know. I think that I don't see Las Vegas or even next week with Phoenix being one of the tracks that they say practice when it comes to that. So does it show you if they can practice? Okay, so we know Circuit of the Americas is gonna have practice. Cool. See if I'm right with Nashville Super Speedway. Yep, that's practice. Road America, that's just a flat-out race. Maybe they haven't announced all of them, but Nashville is one of them that has practice. But yeah, I don't think Las Vegas playoff race will have practice. Again, I don't know how far out a lot of the stuff is. Again, you gotta take a lot of the things with this season definitely a little bit questionable. I don't think as much as last year. I think last year you didn't necessarily know what race was happening until they didn't just announce this is what we're doing for the rest of the year when they came back from the 10-week break or whatever it was. They said, okay, these are the 5 or 6 races we're doing. We'll announce more in like a week or two. You're not at that level, but it's also not at a point where everything's locked in. It's not like a normal season still. I don't think I get to a normal season until next year, but there's always something that could switch. I think the big question mark is probably still Sonoma. Again, that's June, but there's already been one change in the calendar. And I think if any state's going to say, nah, you're not racing, it's probably going to be California. So that one might be questionable. But again, a lot of the stuff for what this all started from, and again, I apologize, I get a little bit off track with what I'm doing, because I don't like to have a script. People like to just script out what they're going to talk about. I just like to go. I like to sit down and talk about whatever. So it does get a little bit off track. What this all comes back to is that race at the second race at Las Vegas in the playoffs. Again, I hate talking about playoffs early, but this is one of the times I think it's okay. I think to say, this is a playoff grid, that's kind of stupid to start doing this, like some NBC, like the second that they take over the broadcast, they start doing that. It's obnoxious. But I think the second race, if there is no practice, you gotta have like some way to get a little bit of that in. And I think this first race, for again a lot of those drivers that know they're in, this definitely is a practice race. This definitely is just, we're gonna show up, see what we got. Of course, try to win it, but see what we got. Is this a good setup to bring to Las Vegas in September? I think that's the main thing for a lot of these drivers. More than normal. I know this happens normally. Normally you do see that. But I think in this year, without having that, practice time, because going to Las Vegas last year, that was one of the few races before there was a shutdown. And the drivers and teams probably still went in there, use those practice sessions they had, use that qualifying, use that race to see what they wanted to bring in September. But it wasn't to the same extent because they didn't know. When it came to late February, early March last year, everything's going normal. It was the beginning of this. It was definitely, everything will just go by. We'll just have a little precautions and we're good. Then everything got yeeted. So it definitely changed. But I think this year, this race is more than it was before a practice session. Again, my predictions, Kevin Harvick's going to win. Again, I wouldn't be surprised to see Martin Truex and Joey Logano in there a little bit. But I think Kevin Harvick will be winning this race. So, I'm going to go in here, write down the track and write down the driver prediction for each track. That way we can take a look at it when it comes to the end of the year. Because there's going to be a race I'm going to get right at some point. I don't think there's been a season that I said a driver was going to win a race and didn't. It's going to happen. But we're going to find out when. Either way, thank you all for watching. We'll be back with our recap video tomorrow. Let's see if my prediction's right.